Hello, fellow patriots. Welcome to Red Rights and You. Since it's now the holiday season, you'll be glad to know that we're taking a break from politics and war for a fun look at the holidays we recognize right here in the good old United States of America. Now, not all are celebrated and many are ignored, yet they still exist. Now, forgive me if I left out a Hallmark holiday or two. Nobody sent me a dozen long-stemmed roses for Sweetest Day last year, and I'm still pretty bitter. And no disrespect intended. However, for the sake of time, I also had to limit the list to federal and Christian holidays. So with no further ado, let's break down America's favorite excuse to skip work. From fireworks to turkey dinners to trees, we're covering holidays, how they started, why we celebrate them, and whether or not they come with pie. First, we'll hit the federal holidays. Now, these are the ones where the banks close, the mail stops, and everyone suddenly remembers how much they love a long weekend. We start the year off with a bang, literally. New Year's Day became a federal holiday in 1870, probably because everyone needed a day to recover from champagne and bad resolutions. Now, it's a worldwide celebration, but America adds its own flair, like the Times Square ball drop, which started in 1907. Because what says new beginnings like watching a giant disco ball slowly descend for a full minute? Then there's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. It's the third Monday in January. MLK Day, it's one of the newer federal holidays signed into law in 1983 after years of activism. It honors Dr. King's legacy and reminds us to strive for equality. A fun fact, it's also the only remaining federal holiday that's about a specific person. President's Day is the third Monday in February. Established in 1885, this was originally celebrated as George Washington's birthday. It's now more of a generic thanks for leading the country day. It's also known as Massive Mattress Sale Day because nothing promotes the achievements of our greatest presidents like a good night's sleep. And then there's Memorial Day, the last Monday in May. Memorial Day started after the Civil War to honor fallen soldiers. It was officially declared a holiday in 1971. And it's now a mix of solemn remembrance and, of course, barbecue season kickoff. Because who says you can't mourn and grill at the same time? Then there's Juneteenth on June 19th. Juneteenth is America's newest federal holiday declared in 2021. It commemorates June 19, 1865, when enslaved people in Texas finally learned they were free, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Better late than never, right? It's a day to celebrate freedom and resilience. Then there's Independence Day, July 4, America's birthday. You know the drill. Fireworks, hot dogs, and actually pretending you like sparklers. Established as a federal holiday in 1870, it's the ultimate party for America's birthday. Fun fact, more people know the lyrics to the national anthem than what's actually in the Declaration of Independence. Then there's Labor Day, the first Monday in September. Labor Day honors workers and unions, and it's been a federal holiday since 1894. Now, these days, it's more about sales and one last summer barbecue. Ironically, most retail workers spend it working. Sorry about that, guys. Then we have Columbus Day / Indigenous Peoples Day. It's the second Monday in October. Columbus Day became a federal holiday in 1937. But let's be real, it's a little complicated. Given the controversy and reported atrocities Columbus was said to have committed against the natives he discovered, many states now choose to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day instead to honor those people's cultures and histories. Honestly, it's a better fit. Then we have Veterans Day on November 11th. Originally called Armistice Day, this holiday started in 1919 to mark the end of World War I. It was renamed Veterans Day in 1954, and it now honors all who served in the military. Pro tip, don't mix this up with Memorial Day. That's a rookie mistake. And then Thanksgiving, the holiday we just celebrated, on the fourth Thursday in November. Thanksgiving became a federal holiday in 1863 thanks to Abraham Lincoln, who wanted unity during the Civil War. Ironically, what started as a pathway to unity is now all about turkey, football, and awkward family debates, or the latest trend, boycotting celebrations with pro-Trump family members to protest election results, because nothing says thankful and unity like cutting off immediate family members because their political views don't align directly with yours. A quick shout out to FDR, who tried to move Thanksgiving back 1 week to allow for an extra week of Christmas shopping and failed. Then there's the biggie, Christmas Day, December 25th. And of course, Christmas, declared a federal holiday in 1870, was originally a religious celebration, but now it's also Santa's big day and the retail industry's Super Bowl. Fun fact, Puritans banned Christmas in the 1600s because it was too rowdy. Now it's basically a month-long festival of joy and debt. Here's some bonus holidays. You have Easter, not a federal holiday, and the dates vary. It's complicated. It is a religious holiday with roots in Christianity. Did you know Easter eggs were introduced as a symbol of new life to commemorate the resurrection, and the Easter Bunny is also a symbol of new life along with fertility? Now, it's just another excuse for kids to run amok, grabbing eggs and stuffing their faces with candy. And here's a fun one, Groundhog Day, February 2nd. Groundhog Day started in 1887 in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania. Why consult a rodent for weather predictions? Because sometimes we just need something ridiculous to get through the winter. And then there's Valentine's Day on February 14th. Valentine's Day isn't a federal holiday, but it's a big deal. Originally a Roman feast, now it's a love fest extravaganza. Another pro tip, don't forget flowers or you'll end up on the couch. Next, we have St. Patrick's Day on March 17th. And St. Patrick's Day celebrates Irish heritage, but let's be real. Here in the States, it's mostly about wearing green and drinking. Americans took a proud Irish holiday and transformed it into yet another excuse to party by adding parades, green beer, and Irish whiskey. Kegs and eggs for breakfast, anyone? Ugh. Then there's Halloween on October 31st. Halloween, it's technically not a holiday, but it's one of the most celebrated days in the U.S. Originating from Celtic traditions, now it's just costumes, candy, and the annual debate over whether candy corn is good or evil. Now we ask ourselves the question, why do we love holidays? Well, whether it's fireworks, food, or furry weather forecasters, holidays give us a chance to pause, celebrate, and connect. Sure, some of them are off the wall, but hey, that's America. Thanks so much for joining me on Red Rights and You for this whirlwind tour of U.S. holidays. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell me your favorite holiday tradition in the comments. Until next time, stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. God bless you all, and God bless America. Oh, and I almost forgot. Happy holidays, everyone. Ho, 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 and hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of Red Rights and You. I'm your holly jolly host, Tim Andrews. Now today, we're sliding into the upcoming holiday we've come to love and at times stress over, Christmas. Where did it come from? Why do we deck the halls? And who decided fat guys in red suits should sneak down chimneys? So grab your eggnog, put on your fuzzy socks, and let's unwrap this holiday's rich and at times bizarre history. First, the big question. Where does Christmas come from? Now, I'm a staunch believer as any that celebrating the birth of Christ is a sacred Christian tradition and the true reason for the season. I mean, if it weren't, it would be called Santamas, right? But before Christmas became associated with the birth of our Savior, early civilizations celebrated with pagan winter solstice festivals, especially in Europe. In ancient Rome, it was Saturnalia, a raucous week-long festival from December 17th to the 23rd, honoring Saturn, the god of agriculture. People feasted, exchanged gifts, and reversed social roles with slaves dining at the tables of their masters. In Northern Europe, the Norse celebrated Yule during the winter solstice. They lit Yule logs, sound familiar? To honor the sun and held feasts with plenty of mead. Yule later influenced many of the festive traditions we associate with Christmas, like the Yule log cake and even the term Yuletide. So how did the word Christmas come about? The word comes from the Old English Christus Messe, meaning Christ's Mass. Early Christians did not start recognizing Jesus' birth until 336 years after the fact, but the origin of the name first appeared around 1038 years after Christ's birth. It's a combination of Christ obviously referring to Jesus and Mass, which refers to a religious service. So Christus Messe literally translates to the Mass of Christ. Christmas evolved as Christianity spread and merged with these existing celebrations. It was essentially a spiritual takeover, blending pagan merriment with religious observance. And that's why we still have traces of those pre-Christian traditions today. So why December 25th? Ironically, it's probably because the church wanted to co-opt this ancient winter festival. Nothing says holy night like rebranding a heathen festival, right? Oh, and by the way, scholars are pretty sure Jesus was not born in December. Most likely, spring or fall. But hey, snow looks better under sleigh on greeting cards than grass does, so here we are. Now let's talk about the legend of Santa Claus. The original Saint Nick wasn't from the North Pole. He was a 4th century Greek bishop from modern-day Turkey, who was known for giving gifts to the poor. Fast forward to 1823, and Clement Clarke Moore's poem, "'Twas the Night Before Christmas." It gave us the sleigh and jolly old St. Nick as we know him. And reindeer, sure, they're real animals, but the whole flying thing, that's on Moore too. Rudolph, though, is a modern addition created in 1939 by Robert L. May as a marketing gimmick for Montgomery Ward. That glowing nose? A product of corporate America, folks. And the North Pole? Pure marketing genius. Thanks to an 1866 Harper's Weekly illustration, Santa needed a mystical home and the frozen North stuck. Let's be real, if Santa were practical, he'd live in Miami and save on heating. There is, though, a rumor going around that he tried it, but the fat shaming every time he showed up at South Beach in the mistletoe thong was just too much for his ego to handle. And speaking of mistletoe, if you've ever awkwardly kissed a coworker at a holiday party because of this little plant, you've got the ancient Druids to thank. Now, they believed mistletoe had magical properties and used it in ceremonies. Later, the Norse added a romantic twist. Mistletoe represented love and peace. And by the 18th century, the English took it a step further, declaring that if you stood under mistletoe, you had to kiss. And if you didn't, bad luck. So basically, mistletoe went from a sacred plant to the original Tinder swipe right. Now on to Christmas trees. This one comes to us from Germany, where decorating trees for the winter solstice was a thing. By the 1800s, German immigrants brought the tradition to the U.S. Queen Victoria and Prince Albert made it fashionable in England, and Americans said, if it's good enough for the royals, it's good enough for us. And how about those tree toppers? Well, stars represent the Star of Bethlehem. Angels symbolize divine protection. And if you've got a Santa hat up there, well, you just gave up on fitting the top branches into those little irritating plastic cones. And where did all those beautiful light displays come from? Well, before Edison gave us Christmas lights, people risked burning down their homes with actual candles on their trees. Now, nothing says Merry Christmas like a 5-alarm fire. But by the 1800s, electric lights became a safer and flashier alternative. As for caroling, now that dates back to medieval wassailing, which was basically knocking on doors, singing songs, and demanding booze. Hey, what happened to that one? But just imagine having to buy drinks all night for extremely drunk alcoholic singers at a makeshift karaoke bar outside your front door without the benefit of background music. Talk about getting into the Christmas spirits. Now, stockings, they go back to St. Nicholas, who allegedly tossed coins down a chimney, landing in socks hung to dry. You talk about your poor man's slot machine? Now, evidently, this was before he decided it would be easier just to squeeze down there himself with a huge sack full of gifts. How about gift exchanges? That's a blend of Roman Saturnalia and Victorian-era consumerism. By the 20th century, thanks to Macy's and Hallmark, Christmas had morphed into a capitalist wonderland. Christmas music is another mashup. Silent Night, it's German. Jingle Bells was originally written for Thanksgiving. Wrapping paper was invented in 1917 by Hallmark because who doesn't love spending extra money on something people tear apart in 5 seconds? Now let's talk about the history of Christmas in the good old USA. Christmas in America has a bit of a rocky past. It wasn't always the highly anticipated festive occasion that we enjoy today. The first European settlers brought Christmas traditions with them, but they weren't universally celebrated. The Puritans of New England even banned Christmas in the mid-1600s, calling it pagan and unbiblical. In fact, in 1659, the Massachusetts Bay Colony made celebrating Christmas illegal, with fines for anyone caught hanging decorations or taking the day off. You're a monster, Massachusetts Bay Colony. Your heart's an empty hole. Now, it wasn't until the 19th century that Christmas really took off in the U.S. Washington Irving's 1820 book, The Sketchbook of Geoffrey Crayon, painted a cozy picture of Christmas as a family-focused holiday. A couple of decades later, Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol hit the shelves promoting themes of generosity and goodwill, which resonated with Americans. In 1870, Christmas was declared a federal holiday thanks to President Ulysses S. Grant. And from there, it snowballed into the proud tradition and celebration which we recognize today. So while Christmas, or some form of it, has been celebrated around the world for ages, it has only been widely celebrated here for about 150 to 200 years. So there you have it, folks. Christmas is the gift that keeps on giving. It's a patchwork quilt of traditions, marketing, and a sprinkle of divine inspiration. It's part pagan festival, part religious observance, part giving, and part greedy capitalism on steroids. But isn't that the beauty of it? At the end of the day, whether you're singing carols, chugging eggnog, or staring at your lopsided tree, Christmas is about community, tradition, and the joy of togetherness. Until next time, this is Tim Andrews reminding you that even our most cherished holidays are a blend of history, humanity, and just a pinch of holiday chaos. Remember, stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. Oh, and stay merry and bright. Remember, Santa's watching. God bless America, and God bless us, everyone. Merry Christmas, all. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Red Rights and You. I'm your host, Tim Andrews, and 2025 is right around the corner. So today, we're looking at the history, traditions, and some fun locations for ringing in the brand new year. We'll start with some of the strangest ways people have brought in the new year all throughout time. After that, we'll answer the biggest question on the minds of every single American resident and visitor each late December. Well, most anyway, or some. But many folks want to know, where are the best places to ring in the new year right here in the USA? From the neon lights of Las Vegas to the classic confetti in Times Square, we will explore the best places in the U.S. to celebrate with a sprinkle of history and a dash of chaos. So grab your party hat or those weird little 2025 glasses things, and let's get this party started. Now, before we had confetti cannons and champagne toasts, New Year's celebrations were, well, a little different. So let's kick off with some history. We'll take a trip around the world and then end up right here back at home. We begin, I guess, near the beginning in ancient Babylon, 4,000 years ago. The Babylonians celebrated the new year in March, not January. They marked the occasion with an 11-day festival called Akitu, where they crowned a new king or reaffirmed their loyalty to the current one. Oh, and they also symbolically killed and resurrected their god Marduk. All in a day's work, I guess. Next, we move to medieval Europe. During the Middle Ages, they rung in the new year by smashing plates. Why? It was thought to ward off evil spirits. Now, in some places, they even burned effigies of Father Time. Talk about your dramatic farewell to the old year. Now we'll talk about Scotland's Hogmanay. This centuries-old tradition involves first footing, where the first person to cross your threshold after midnight determines your luck for the year. Now you get bonus points if they bring coal or whiskey. In ancient Rome, Julius Caesar declared January 1st the start of the year all the way back in 46 BC. And Romans celebrated by exchanging coins and laurel branches. Some also hosted drunken orgies. I mean, I guess if you're going to set the tone for the new year, right? Now let's look at what people do today in other parts of the world to welcome in the new year. The spoiler alert, some of these are just downright strange. In Spain, at the stroke of midnight, Spaniards eat 12 grapes, one for each chime of the clock. The goal? To bring good luck for each month of the year. Now, at first it sounds simple, but try eating grapes that fast without choking. In Denmark, people throw plates at their friends' doors to bring them good fortune. The more broken china you have by morning, the luckier your year will be. Sounds fun, but can you imagine explaining that to your landlord? Ecuadorians burn scarecrow-like effigies stuffed with paper and fireworks to cleanse the old year's bad vibes. Now, some even attach photos or notes representing things they want to leave behind. And in Japan, Buddhist temples ring their bells 108 times to symbolize purification from worldly desires. While they're at it, the people there eat soba noodles to signify longevity. Talk about your Zen moment, right? Now, the Philippines is all about circles. That represents coins and prosperity. From wearing polka-dotted clothing to eating round fruits, it's a whole entire vibe. Colombians, well, they walk around the block carrying an empty suitcase. Why? To ensure a year filled with travel and adventure. I guess they get bonus points if they break a sweat doing it. Now, in some parts of Johannesburg, South Africa, people actually throw old furniture out their windows to symbolize a fresh start. It's all fun and games until somebody out there gets hit by a flying couch. In the town of Talca, Chile, they ring in the new year by spending the night in cemeteries. Why? To celebrate with their deceased loved ones. Spooky, but sweet. And before we get right down to the glitz and glamour right here at home, let's rewind the clock. Did you know that the first New Year's Eve celebration in the U.S. happened way back in 1904? That's right, when New York City's Times Square wasn't even yet famous for its ball drop. The New York Times newspaper had just moved into their fancy new headquarters, and they threw a massive fireworks show to celebrate it. Fast forward just 2 years, and voila, the very first ball drop took place in 1907. Now, what was the most memorable New Year's moment here in the U.S.? Let's see. How about that crazy Y2K hysteria of 1999? Half the country was stocking canned beans in basements, while the other half was partying like, well, Prince said we should. That was classic. All right, folks, let's talk destinations right here at home. Whether you're into massive crowds or something a little more intimate, I've got you covered. Now, number one is obvious. The oldest is still the best and most recognized, and that's Times Square in New York City. It's the gold standard. Sure, it's cold. Sure, you might not feel your feet after 6 hours, but nothing beats that iconic moment when the ball drops. Now, a little friendly advice. If you don't want to stand shoulder to shoulder with strangers, grab a table at The View, a revolving restaurant with panoramic city views. Is it expensive? Absolutely. But is it worth it? Also, absolutely yes. Now, 2 is Las Vegas, Nevada. You didn't think Vegas would stay quiet, did you? The Strip transforms into a massive pedestrian party zone with fireworks shooting off from 7 different casinos. Now, for a swanky indoor vibe, hit up the Chandelier Bar at the Cosmopolitan. It's basically a bar inside a massive chandelier. Fancy. And if you haven't seen the Sphere yet, check it out. It is next level. Now, do you want to party in a tank top? Miami, Florida, they got you. South Beach clubs throw New Year's parties that last until, well, it seems like the next year. Or for something chill, head to Bayfront Park where they drop a huge illuminated orange. Yes, an orange. I mean, Florida knows its branding. And music lovers, rejoice. Nashville, Tennessee's Music Note Drop features live performances, fireworks, and a heck of a lot of country charm. You can grab dinner beforehand at the 404 Kitchen. Their whiskey selection is as legendary as their meatloaf. Now, do you want a mix of stunning views and a little romance? The fireworks over the Bay Bridge in San Francisco are absolutely breathtaking. Pair it with dinner at Tonga Room and Hurricane Bar, where you can sip tropical cocktails while listening to a live band play from a floating stage. Now, if you happen to be in Chicago, Illinois, head over to Navy Pier for fireworks over Lake Michigan. And you may want to start with dinner at Uli Nia, one of the best restaurants in the entire world. Or even just grab some deep dish pizza if you're on a budget. Either way, Chicago skyline makes for an unforgettable backdrop. Now, how about New Orleans, Louisiana? The Big Easy. It never disappoints. Jackson Square hosts a giant fleur-de-lis drop, and the streets are alive with jazz. After the party, grab some beignets at Café du Monde. It's the perfect post-midnight snack. And for a laid-back but lively celebration, Austin, Texas combines live music, food trucks, and a family-friendly vibe at Vic Mathias Shores. Or head to 6th Street if you want the wilder side of Texas. From the fireworks at Grand Park to the glitz of Hollywood rooftop bars, LA offers something for everyone. For a unique experience, check out the Queen Mary in Long Beach, where the iconic ship transforms into a floating New Year's Eve bash. On the West Coast in Seattle, Washington, you can watch fireworks shoot off the iconic Space Needle and pair it with a seafood feast at Canley's or a craft beer crawl in Capitol Hill. Make sure you bring a jacket. It is Seattle after all. Now, are you looking for something a bit more outside the box? Well, let's start with Key West, Florida. Instead of a ball, they drop a massive sequin shoe with a drag queen named Sushi inside. Now, if that doesn't scream 2025, I don't know what does. And have you ever heard of a larger-than-life lit-up peep dropping? Yes, as in the marshmallow candy. Bethlehem, Pennsylvania is the peep capital of the world, apparently, and they're proud of it. And in Honolulu, nothing says I'm starting the new year right like fireworks on the beach. And the bonus, you're in Hawaii. So that's definitely a win-win. And how about a tree-sized pine cone drop at the Weatherford Hotel in Flagstaff, Arizona? It's a nod to the city's location in the largest contiguous ponderosa pine forest in North America. In Boise, Idaho, yep, they really drop a giant potato. The Idaho Potato Drop includes live music, food trucks, and plenty of spuds. And check out Raleigh, North Carolina. They drop a big old acorn in honor of the city's nickname, the City of Oaks. Who knew acorns could be festive? Now, in the quirky town of Eastport, Maine, they celebrate with a gigantic sardine drop, complete with a parade of fishermen. Now, the bonus is they also drop a maple leaf an hour earlier for their Canadian neighbors. And then welcome to the Gulf Coast, where in Mobile, Alabama, they drop a massive moon pie. Yep, the marshmallow and chocolate treat takes center stage. Now, the city of Baltimore hosts Midnight Noon at the Maryland Science Center. It's a kid-friendly event that celebrates with a huge balloon drop at, you guessed it, noon. Memphis, they ring in the new year by dropping a guitar on Beale Street, accompanied by blues, barbecue, and plenty of dancing. And I would be remiss if I left out Atlanta, where they drop a huge, juicy, let's hear it, peach. Georgians doing Georgia things as expected. Charlotte, North Carolina's Crown Drop is a regal alternative, honoring the city's nickname, the Queen City. And in the tiny ski town of Ludlow, Vermont, they ring in the new year by dropping a size 300 ski boot. And nothing says Vermont winter like honoring your slopes. There you have it, everyone. Everything you ever wanted to know about New Year's tradition and fun, but were afraid to ask. Now, if I had to pick, I'm torn, really. On one hand, there's nothing like the adrenaline rush of Vegas. But on the other, I'm kind of intrigued by the drag queen in the shoe. And then again, I might just throw a plate at a friend's door while eating 12 grapes and burning an effigy. Why pick just one tradition when you can mix and match? And remember, whether you're toasting champagne in New York or sipping rum in Key West, or even if you're just curling up on the couch at home under a warm blanket with a cup of hot chocolate, make it count. It only comes around once a year. Well, that's it for today's episode of Red Rights and You. Please don't forget to hit subscribe and leave a review. It helps more than you know. Until next time, stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. Have a happy and safe New Year's, folks. Here's to 2025. Auld Lang Syne. God bless you all, and God bless America. Hello, fellow patriots, and welcome back to Red Rights and You. I'm your host, Tim Andrews. Now, you might think the holiday season is over, but think again. We have a bonus holiday this season, and it is setting up to be the biggest and the best of all. Now, while we celebrated the new year on January 1st by ushering in 2025, we will have an epic New Year's celebration on January 20th. We are ringing in leadership, which promises to usher in a renaissance which will last 4 years until 2029 and possibly beyond. So the theme of today's episode is celebration of hope, pride, and optimism, because we're going to take a look at President Donald J. Trump's top New Year's resolutions. Now, when we say New Year's, we're talking multiple, as in a 4-year promise to make America great again, yet again. The Trump train is full steam ahead, and by the time we're done with this episode, you will be ready to jump on board, waving an American flag and humming God Bless the USA. So folks, hold on to your MAGA hats, because we are in for a hell of a ride. So first, let's just set the stage. The second Trump is inaugurated, we will begin the dawn of a brand new era. Daddy's back, and he's not wasting a second. This isn't just a presidency, it's a mission to bring America into its next golden age. Now, here's the thing about Trump. When he makes resolutions, they're not, I think I'll go to the gym more, or I'm going to stop eating fast food. No. His resolutions are big, bold, and transformational. Now, just for the sake of time, let's take a look at just some of the impactful initiatives that are going to save America and make us great again. Now, I hope you're ready, because here's what we can expect from the man with the golden hair and an even more golden vision of the future of the United States of America. The first resolution: jobs, jobs, and more jobs. No, I didn't say jabs. That was the Biden plan. With Trump, it's all about jobs, and he has already said he's going to revitalize manufacturing, bring back industries that left under the last administration, and ensure that every American has the dignity of work. Think Made in America stamped on everything, from cars to coffee mugs. Now, he also plans on cutting taxes again. Remember those tax cuts from his first term? Well, they're coming back bigger and better. Trump is laser focused on cutting taxes for the middle class, making sure small businesses thrive, and letting Americans keep more of their hard-earned money. He is also addressing much-needed and voter-mandated border security. The wall is coming back, folks, And this time it's going to be taller, stronger, and maybe even solar powered because Trump is all about innovation. Now, he's also doubling down on Border Patrol funding and cracking down on human trafficking. Fighting drugs and crime are high on his priority list. Trump's taking a hammer and a Tom Homan to the opioid crisis, targeting the cartels and strengthening law enforcement to clean up crime in our cities. It's all about safe streets for every single American. And drill, baby, drill. Energy independence from day one. No more begging foreign countries for oil. Trump's plan for energy dominance includes unleashing American oil, gas, and clean coal while also investing in nuclear and renewables. Affordable gas and energy jobs? Let's go. Now, grab the pump, the hose, and the nose plugs because it's finally time to drain the swamp. It's been 4 years of corruption, and Trump is ready to clean house. Expect term limits, stricter lobbying rules, and the return of government accountability. The swamp creatures are trembling, and I, for one, am loving it. He's also pulling those purse strings in order to tighten spending. Trump's known for running things efficiently. He's slashing unnecessary government programs and rooting out waste. He will utilize his legendary deal-making skills and Doge, headed by Elon and Vivek, to get more for less. The federal budget is about to go on a diet. And inflation and high prices? Not on Trump's watch. From groceries to gas, Trump's policies aim to reduce costs for everyday Americans. How? By cutting regulation and putting America first. Now, he also wants to bring back peace in the Middle East and Ukraine. Trump's already brokered historic peace deals with the Abraham Accords. Now he's aiming for even bigger wins. Peace in Ukraine and stability in the Middle East are on his radar. And let's be honest, if anyone can do it, it's Trump. And how about folks meddling in your kids' education? Trump's all about giving parents control. President Trump is also focusing on health care reform. He's got a plan to cut prescription drug costs and bring competition into the healthcare market. Affordable care without the red tape? I'm in. And no more selectively ignoring the Constitution. Protecting free speech is a priority. The First Amendment is under attack, but Trump's fighting back. Big tech won't know what hit them when he brings free speech protections to the digital age. And sacrificing national security? Not an option. Trump will strengthen the military. A strong America is a safe America. Trump's boosting defense, supporting veterans, and keeping us ready for anything. Peace through strength. It's the Trump doctrine. Now, he's also vowing to restore faith in elections. Trump will implement voter ID, clean up voter rolls, and ensure that every single legitimate vote counts. Now, all of these and more initiatives will contribute greatly towards President Trump's goal of bringing back pride in America. The final resolution is simple. Remind Americans why this is the greatest country on earth. From patriotic education to restoring monuments, it's all about celebrating our shared heritage. And let's not forget the dream team Trump's bringing with him. From business titans to constitutional scholars, his cabinet is shaping up to be a powerhouse. None of these will ever be confused with a Biden appointee like the mentally challenged transgender individual who stole luggage at the airport. No. These are bold, unapologetic leaders who share a vision for an America that stands tall and proud. Names like Governor Ron DeSantis, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and firebrand Pam Bondi, to name just a few, are there to make positive things happen. Just imagine what they will accomplish under Trump's leadership. Let me tell you, folks, celebrating New Year's 2025 is nothing compared to celebrating the rebirth of America under President Trump. This isn't just a new chapter, it's a new book. The Trump train is chugging along, and the destination is prosperity, security, and pride. By the time we ring in 2029, we'll look back on these 4 years as the moment America became unstoppable again. So let's raise a glass to jobs, peace, freedom, and the greatest comeback in political history. That's it for today's episode of Red Rights and You. If you're ready to ride the red wave into 2025 and beyond, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and please leave a review. Remember, folks, the best is yet to come. Until then, stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. God bless you all. God bless America. And Happy New Year's. Hello, fellow patriots, and welcome to Red Rights and You. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the politics and so-called leaders that are literally setting fire to America. So let's talk about the tragic and infuriating wildfires that recently devastated Los Angeles County, California. Thousands of homes were reduced to ash, many just a stone's throw from the Pacific Ocean, which holds, let's count them, 187 quintillion gallons of water. And yet, no water was available. No fire hydrants, no fire engines. It was as if the strategy was, let's watch this one burn. And who is to blame for this catastrophic mess? Mayor Karen Bass, Governor Gavin Newsom, and their band of merry bureaucrats. The leadership here isn't just asleep at the wheel, it's actively driving the state into disaster. It's a sad state of affairs when yammering Joe Biden makes the most sense of all. He was already in California when one of his aides interrupted his nap to hurriedly tell him, "Mr. President, we need to get to Pacific Palisades right away." To which Biden allegedly replied, "Easy, easy, where's the fire?" Now, before we get into the recent tragedy, let's take a quick history lesson. Wildfires are nothing new to Los Angeles County. This region has been playing with fire for decades. Here's a grim timeline. The 1970 Malibu fire, 10,000 acres were burned, 400 homes destroyed, and 10 lives lost. The 1993 Topanga fire, over 16,000 acres were burned, 400 homes obliterated, 3 fatalities. The 2007 Malibu fire, 4,000 acres burned, dozens of homes lost, but thankfully, quick containment minimized fatalities. And the 2018 Woolsey fire, 96,949 acres burned, 1,643 structures destroyed, 3 dead, and thousands displaced. So after all these horrific fires, we were finally able to figure out a way to control and contain them moving forward to minimize loss of life and damage, right? Wrong. This year's recent disaster was the worst of all by far. The scene can only be described as apocalyptic. Thousands of homes, schools, churches, landmarks, and businesses gone. Miles of neighborhoods unrecognizable. Lives lost. And the exact numbers are still trickling in, but the devastation is already staggering. And here's the kicker. Fires decades ago were often contained more quickly despite far fewer resources. Crews would dig fire breaks, conduct controlled burns, and mobilize resources rapidly. So why aren't those strategies being used anymore? Well, because California's leadership decided they knew better, or even worse, they didn't care. Fire prevention policies have been gutted, and environmental overregulation has tied the hands of firefighters. Controlled burns? Nope. Might disturb a rare snail. Clearing brush? Sorry. That's environmentally insensitive. Now let's wade deeper into the subject of water, or in this case, lack thereof. This fire burned to the ground homes less than 100 feet from the Pacific Ocean. Let me repeat that. 100 feet from the largest body of water on Earth, yet somehow water wasn't available. The hydrants, dry. Reservoirs, untapped. Fire engine, just sitting idle. How does that even happen? California has the 5th largest economy in the world, and they can't even figure out how to pump water from an ocean within a stone's throw to save lives and property? Meanwhile, billions are being spent on high-speed rail projects no one even asked for. And let's not forget the endless handouts to illegal immigrants. But saving taxpayers' homes? That's apparently just too much to ask. The prevailing attitude from leadership seemed to be, let it burn. Gavin Newsom, who always manages to find a jar of lard, comb, and a camera when it comes time to virtue signal, was conspicuously absent when it came to addressing this disaster in real time. And the Honorable Mayor Karen Bass, don't even get me started. Despite being warned that ferocious Santa Ana winds and extremely dry conditions were becoming highly favorable towards setting this tinderbox ablaze, she felt she would be better served to play diplomat at a funeral in Ghana than to face the impending flames with her constituents back at home. Even after being informed of the carnage her citizens were enduring, she took her own sweet time getting back. And finally, upon arrival, she topped it off by playing the role of a deaf mute, refusing to answer or acknowledge questions from reporters. But what do you expect from a DEI-appointed politician who later told folks at a press conference to visit a website called URL for more information? But if you ask her about equity, she can go on for days. And here's where it gets interesting. For years, many Californians have worn blinders pretending this kind of incompetence doesn't exist. They've ignored the decay in favor of clinging to their woke ideologies. But now, finally, even the most die-hard progressives are waking up to reality. Thousands of families have lost everything. Loved ones, their memories, homes. Insurance companies are dragging their feet, and the looming financial crisis is only going to make payouts even harder. Yet the ultra wealthy, as usual, will be mostly unaffected. Just an inconvenience. This is just the cost of living in paradise. It is what it is, they'll say as they rebuild their multi-million-dollar mansions. They have plenty of money. But ironically, for the ultra rich, it seems they won't even need to spend it. Biden has vowed that the government will replace 100% of structures and items lost. Just like he did with the families in North Carolina. Oh, wait, that's right. Those families received a paltry $750 in IOUs for future aid. All the while, many of their loved ones remain lost, swept away, or buried alive while the children are freezing to death in makeshift tents many months after the fact. I guess it proves the old adage. The mega rich and their money talks and poor people in red states who do not contribute to the Dems' campaign funds walk. Just a word to the right minority out there on the left coast affected by these fires. If any of you still have Trump signs on your lawns that survived the flames, get rid of them in a hurry, or at least hide them until January 20th. If not, you'll be shit out of luck for certain if there is immediate aid to be had. Still, for others, patience has run out. This is the end of the road. They are angry, and they have every right to be. It's not just conservatives raising their voices anymore. Liberals, moderates, people from all walks of life are demanding accountability. If there's one positive to come out of this tragedy, it's that common sense is slowly making a comeback, finally. Americans are waking up to the fact that these so-called leaders don't care about them. They care about their personal agendas, their pet projects, and their political careers. Clueless Karen Bass and slick Gavin Newsom should be held accountable. Their methods have proven to be not just ineffective, but downright dangerous. It's time to burn those ideologies to the ground. Not literally, of course, but politically. The wildfires in Los Angeles County are a tragic reminder of what happens when leadership fails. But they're also a wake-up call. The people of California and the entire nation are finally holding their elected officials' feet to the proverbial fire. It's time for a new wave of leadership, ones who prioritize the safety and prosperity of their citizens over their own personal agendas. Because if we don't demand change now, we're just watching and waiting for that next match to be lit. Thank you all for joining us at Red Rights and You. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Let's keep the conversation going and keep fighting for the America we deserve. Until next time, stay the course, stay strong, and stay patriotic. God bless you all, and God bless America.